How do you grow spiritually? Here are 5 ways. Philip Mountrose here. My wife and I, we help people step up, tap into the heart and soul with holistic coaching and healing. In this short video, I want to explore spiritual growth, your spiritual growth. Now, how do you become a wiser person? It's more than just adding on years, of course. What do you do with those years? How do you make the most of them? How do you convert them, transmute them, have an alchemy where you end up smarter, wiser, more whole, more unified than where you started? Well, we can turn to Shakespeare's King Lear years ago. He had 3 daughters. One of them was very virtuous. The other 2 were manipulative, and he unwisely, the king, gave his kingdom actually to the 2 manipulative daughters because they flattered him, whereas the virtuous daughter wouldn't stoop to that kind of flattery. In the end, King Lear not only lost his kingdom, he lost his health and sanity, and his advisor, counselor, the fool, said, "It's too bad, King, thou should have become wise before thou became old." So let's look at 2 things to consider before we go into those ways to grow spiritually. And those 2 things are your free will and a sense of timing, because that's going to affect your growth, right? So free will is the choices you make from day to day, important choices in particular, because they set a direction, hopefully an optimal future, great potential for you, a trajectory by the choices you make. And then there's a timing. There's a time for everything under season, as Ecclesiastes said. And so there's a time to wait, a time to do. So that factors in too, as you consider the 5 ways to grow spiritually I'm about to share with you now. Number 1, experiment intelligently. Life is really a trial and error. You can't always be safe and stay at the harbor. You never get to experiment, grow, see things. We're here to explore, and that's how we're going to become wiser and more mature. However, you want to be careful before you go out on that limb to make sure that limb can support you. You want to do your due diligence and trust and develop your intuition. Now, some people are more risk takers, and they need to really look before they do leap more. And other people are more cautious by nature, and they need to venture out a little more, get more out of their comfort zone. That reminds me, years ago, when I was a student filmmaker, we screened our films in front of all our peers, and when I did that, I looked at my film with everyone else, and I realized this is a terrible film, and everyone was just kind of there, and it was kind of an ouch moment. But it was an experiment, a failed one, but I did learn and grow from that and become wiser, hopefully in the process. So experiment intelligently. Second way to grow spiritually is to follow your heart. Open your heart. Be an open-hearted person. Yes, use your brain, your mind. Be open-minded and open-hearted. The 2 connect quite a bit. There's a lot of much more electromagnetic energy coming from the heart than from the brain. It's a very powerful organ, and it has a consciousness, a spiritual consciousness connected to it. And as you open it, you connect with more people and everyone, and you become more compassionate, more aware, more sensitive, and more intelligent, and more appreciating the beauty and challenges of life. Third way to grow spiritually is to connect with like-minded people, associate with like-minded people, kindred spirits you might call them. Those are people you can maybe connect with directly. Those people really uplift you, inspire you, help you become positively charged. Also, you can watch videos maybe like this one, podcasts, books that inspire and uplift you. That's a more indirect way to gather other people's input, to associate with them, to be more uplifting, more aware, more in the moment, more present to your life. Fourth way to grow spiritually is to be sometimes with people who are different. Instead of the kindred spirits, the like-minded, the people who are very different backgrounds, different viewpoints. They may challenge you, they may criticize you or more. Why? Well, if you're only with the people who agree with you, that it's easy to be with, which is wonderful, you can become rather isolated, siloed, maybe even narrow-minded, distorted. You want to broaden your perspective, sometimes reach out, connect, listen to people with other viewpoints, backgrounds, and you may find some good common ground. And even if you disagree with them perhaps strongly, you can develop tolerance, compassion, understanding, and insight too, which is useful, and find common ground sometimes with people who are different from you. And the fifth way to grow spiritually is to intelligently use the internet and social media. Now, social media is filled, it's abundant, it's rife with information and disinformation and misinformation, and that's good to be aware of. In fact, that's really our responsibility to get a sense of that. And sometimes you click on something and it takes you down a rabbit hole, which can be fun, interesting. It also can be distracting, waste of time, as well as cell phone, getting lost in your cell phone, as well in messages and texting. Similarly. Now, if you do connect with social media, be intelligent, be intentional. Realize it's kind of like a public diary where you're sharing yourself to others. So be aware of what you're sharing, the impact it might have, the audience you're communicating to, and do that intelligently. And it's good to get out there in the right way, the way that feels right for you. So in conclusion here, use these 5 ways to grow spiritually, being aware of you have free will and there's a sense of timing to it all. Experiment intelligently. Connect with like-minded people. Open your heart. Connect with people who are of different backgrounds as well. Use the internet and social media wisely. And all of that will help you grow, and sometimes it will help you get through challenges. Sometimes things don't work out, and that's okay. That's grist for the mill. That's learning and growing too. And sometimes enjoy and celebrate the wonderful successes that you're having, helping you be in the moment in a richer life, and following your dreams and your heart. So remember also that we are in a time of great awakening, accelerated evolution. And that's even more important to grow spiritually, to do your part, the part that only you can play. And that's a wonderful thing to do, to get out there and express yourself in a way that's in alignment with your God-given talents, those things that you are good at, that you can really help and uplift yourself and others. Here's your gift and challenge. You are just who you are, which is perfectly enough, while always growing and exploring to be more. Accept who you are, which could be nothing else. It's paradoxically simple, yet profoundly mysterious and wonderfully Zen now.